Hello students, welcome to my channel Online Biology Tutorials. We are studying chapter number 5, the fundamental unit of life. Major amount of the chapter has already been done. We are just left with few topics. And in this video, we will talk about an important cell organelle which is known as mitochondria. Now, this is one cell organelle which you have read in class 8th also, and you need to tell me what is the other name of mitochondria, okay? So, what is the other name of mitochondria? This is the question of this video that I am asking you in the beginning because you have read about it in class 8th in the chapter structure and function of a cell, right? So please do write it in the comment. However, that word would certainly be taken by me while explaining this cell organelle. This cell organelle is very important part of a cell because this has to form the energy. Right, so whenever you are making the mitochondria, please do note that you should make like this. No self-amendments are accepted while you are making such diagrams, okay? So this is the mitochondria which you can see here, and here also, right, I am drawing the yellow color because this is intermitochondrial space. We will be labeling each part, right? So mitochondria is one such organelle that has two membranes. The one on the outer side, it is known as outer mitochondrial membrane, and the one on the inner side, it is known as inner mitochondrial membrane. You can also see that there is a space between the inner and the outer mitochondrial membrane, and this space is known as intermitochondrial space. The inner mitochondrial membrane has greater surface area. Why the area of inner mitochondrial membrane is greater? It is greater because it contains these finger-shaped projections, and these are known as cristae. What are they known as? Cristae. C-R-I-S-T-A-E. You should learn the spelling by writing, okay? Now, this cristae, they are seen in the inner mitochondrial membrane. We know that mitochondria helps in the production of energy, and that energy is in the form of ATP. Now, what is the full form of ATP? ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. As each country has its own currency, similarly there is a currency of energy which is being understood by a cell, and this currency name, this energy currency name is ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. This is important to learn that plants and animals, they have energy in which form? So you will be writing ATP. As mitochondria has to produce energy, now this energy will be produced by the particles which are located on the cristae. So the more the cristae in a mitochondria, the greater would be the ATP production. And this is the reason why finger-shaped projections or cristae are being present. So the black structures that I have drawn in the diagram here, these are oxysomes, and oxysomes are also being named as, I am writing at the bottom, oxysomes are also being said as the F0, F1 particles. These are the particles which help in the ATP production. Okay, here we will be drawing the diagram of mitochondria again for better understanding, and one more time so that you can learn also. So first we will be drawing outer mitochondrial membrane, then we will draw the inner mitochondrial membrane, but remember it will show the presence of cristae, and you can see that I have drawn. On the cristae we have F0, F1 particles which are also known as oxysomes, and they will produce the ATP. The more the ATP production, the more the benefit the cell will be. Okay, the more cristae, the more ATP producing particles or oxysomes, and the more will be the ATP production. Now we have studied this is outer mitochondrial membrane. I have already written the name, thus I am not rewriting. This is inner mitochondrial membrane. These are our ATP producing particles which are also known as oxysomes. Now in the inner side here, this yellow region in the mitochondria, this is known as matrix. What is it known as? This is known as matrix of the mitochondria. Other than this, inside the matrix, DNA is also present, right? This is very important that DNA is present in the matrix of the mitochondria. That is why mitochondria is known as the semi-autonomous cell organelle, right? Semi-autonomous means that they contain their own DNA. Basically in senior classes you will study that DNA helps in the production of RNA, and RNA helps in the production of proteins. You are aware that mitochondria has to produce ATP. So this ATP production would be requiring many enzymes. What are enzymes now? Now enzymes are the proteinous molecules, or they are the molecules that are protein containing in their nature, and they will help in speeding up the rate of reaction, speeding up the rate of chemical reaction. So ATP production is also an example of various chemical reactions that are taking place in a mitochondria. If it has its own DNA, it can form its own RNA, it can form as its own proteins, and some proteins may function as enzymes which will help in the ATP production. The students who are preparing for Olympiad, this concept should be thoroughly understood to them, that DNA helps in the production of RNA, RNA helps in the production of proteins, some proteins may function as enzymes, and these enzymes participate in the ATP production. So we know that mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of the cell, as powerhouse produces the energy in the form of electricity which we use at our home. Similarly, the cell has to sustain. When a cell has to sustain, it requires energy, and that energy comes from the mitochondria. The greater the number of mitochondria in a cell, the more will be the ATP production. The more the oxysomes in a mitochondria, the more the ATP production in a cell. Okay. I hope mitochondria structure has been well understood. The structure is very, very important. The labeling of mitochondria is important, and it can also be asked that why is it known as semi-autonomous cell organelle? So it is known as semi-autonomous cell organelle because it has its own DNA. Before we end up, we also need to learn one more thing. The name of the scientist is being given in the NCERT. So we will learn the name of the scientist who discovered mitochondria, and his name is Benda. Benda is the name of the scientist who discovered mitochondria. Only this much is important in mitochondria. Stay tuned for more such learning videos. In next video, we will be talking about the kitchen of the cell in detail. I hope everyone has subscribed to my channel. If not, please do consider subscribing and pressing the bell notification to get the recent updates. Thank you.